as Israel opens a third crossing into northern Gaza for humanitarian aid and deliveries and expands evacuation orders for Palestinians in Rafah, President Biden is once again being criticized for his response to Israel. According to a new report in the Washington Post, the Biden administration is offering intelligence to Israel only if Israel doesn't invade Rafah. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has an update from the White House tonight. Hey, Lucas.
Doc on the Sunday shows that Democrats rallied behind the commander-in-chief.
President Biden is learning the mistakes of U.S. military campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan. What we learned in both of those efforts was that you cannot defeat a terrorist ideology, cannot defeat a terrorist movement with military force alone.
I think any objective observer knows Israel has broken international law. It has broken American law. And in my view, Israel should not be receiving another nickel in U.S. military aid.
No one has been more supportive of the Israeli government in recent weeks, to the frustration of many Democrats, than Joe Biden. But I think the alternative of not using leverage is the Israeli military going in and absolutely leveling Rafah, killing hundreds of thousands of people. That won't destroy Hamas. Any intelligence official will tell you that. And there's no plan for the day after.
Senator Rick Scott says this is all about politics.
It's a horrible message for Israel. If they're going to destroy Hamas, which they have to do for any security, they have to go in. And they've said they're going to do everything they can to get the civilians out. Israel has no choice but to destroy Rafah. I've always believed that, Biden is unfortunately now part of the pro-Hamas wing of his party. That's all they're worried about is he's worried about winning a presidential election.
Biden is also facing criticism on the left for not going far enough. Happy Mother's Day, Doc.
Thanks, Lucas. Thank you. All right, well, remember when former President Obama said to never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to F things up? Well, now a New York Post op-ed saying that's playing out real time. Michael Goodwin writing, quote, with his relentless criticism of Israel and now a threat to cut off munition supplies in the midst of a war, Biden is triggering a series of global repercussions, and all because he's terrified of losing the election to Donald Trump. Joey, when I sit and hear some of those Democratic policymakers and pundits talk about what's going on right now, I'm still reminded of the fact that Israel is fighting for its right to exist on this earth, for their statehood. And it seems at this point you have President Biden who's just fighting for Michigan.
Yeah, Bob Gates famously put in his memoir that Joe Biden's been wrong on pretty much every defense decision the Obama administration made. So I don't know exactly how he worded it more eloquently than that. He opposed the bin Laden raid and several things that turned out to be victories, small victories for us on our way to losing that war. And so the reason why Bob Gates said that he has been wrong is Joe Biden is either indecisive or scared when it comes to taking action to protect our country or now to back our allies in any meaningful way. I don't know the answer. I will say this, and this may make some people mad. I strongly support Israel, and the anti-Semitism I see is disgusting. But one thing that some of these people have said that I do agree with is we learned in our war that what's happening in Gaza, no matter how justified, is creating the next generation of Hamas. But stopping them now doesn't fix that. That's already happened. At least let them win the war that they have and then have an influence on how they recover from it. Doing it now only shows division, and it doesn't do anything to win the Palestinian people back over or make them less Hamas friendly. That's going to happen. It's already going to happen. They've already bombed half of Gaza. If they bomb the other half in order to kill the rest of Hamas, you're not going to change that fact. So I understand the reluctancy from that perspective, but no, what he's doing right now is he's ensuring that that Hamas stay strong because they think they can deter the United States and anybody else.
Well, Lisa, Joey makes a point that there is concern that this is going to breed the next generation of extremisms. But let me tell you right now, we know that Hamas, there are still about 20% of the leaders that are still, particularly in Rafah. So think of it this way. You have a wildfire. They've put out the fire, 70, 80%? There's still 20%. If you just leave it there, it will fester and it will continue again. And they have already said, Hamas has said they will do it over and over again until every Jew has been killed.
Yeah.
What is to be done?
Well, and the Gazans are the ones who elected Hamas into power. So I think that next generation of terrorists already exists there. You saw them take part in the October 7th terror attack. So I'm of the belief I think there are more terrorists among the Gazans than not. The reason why we're seeing sort of this conflicted position from Joe Biden is because his party is split on the issue. And so I think his policy is a reflection of that, whereas Republicans are more together on standing behind Israel. I think the biggest challenge for Joe Biden in all this is because he's so wishy-washy on the issue and he's trying to straddle the fence, is he looks weak. And we've seen that really since the withdrawal from Afghanistan. He was polling at 49% of August of 2021 at the beginning of the month, dropped 6 points after the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. And then since then, his polling has continued to drop because he looks weak, because he's not a leader. And I don't think Americans will stand for leaving Americans behind. They won't stand for a weak leader. And I believe, on that issue alone is in part why Donald Trump is doing so well in the polls, is people say, you know what, at least he stands for something, at least he's a leader, and Joe Biden's not, he's weak.
Well, and Joe, to Lisa's point, the party is split. I mean, in USA Today yesterday, an op-ed by Sarah Pequeno said, why are Gen Z voters souring on Biden? So I decided to ask them about that frustration. And, quote, after speaking with them, I think it's perfectly reasonable for President Joe Biden to be fearful of losing the presidency in November because to win, he'll need Generation Z. Now, in it, they did poll why Gen Z voters are maybe not going to vote this year. And they did talk about the economy. That was a big issue. Sure. But also that the president's handling of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict.
He's got a lot of problems among every voting bloc now. Let me put in one quick note about the media as far as Biden. In 1980, ABC's Nightline every night gave you an update on American hostages in Iran. They were there for 444 days. There were 53 of them. And every night we got an update. This is day X of Americans held hostage by Iran. We're not seeing that at all. And we don't hear much talk about the hostages. And that's a big part of this negotiation yet. I don't hear Joe Biden talking about it.
We don't hear their names.
Well, Joe Biden has actually said, the reason there is not a ceasefire right now is because of Hamas. But then in the same breath, he is saying, but Israel should pull back. It makes no sense.
None.
Yeah.
He makes no sense.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.